But Amin Thompson asked about roles. We know there's a certain swing man or wing that wants an expanded role in Tari Eason. But Amin, a certain starter, doesn't have to worry about minutes. So maybe he can be someone who's a little bit more gracious about, play me anywhere I want. He's an established guy. He knows he's going to get his minutes. So is he a point guard? Is he a wing? Here's Amin Thompson on his role and what it could be.
I feel like you could play me anywhere. It doesn't just have to be point guard. I love playing point, but I love winning too. So if I got to play small forward, power forward, center to win, I'll do it.
So there it is. He's a man who is all about the team. Just put him where you want him, and then he'll come through. And his versatility, he talked about playing wherever, certainly guarding whoever, is one of the reasons people hold him in such high regard. And he would be the crown jewel in any trade that brought you a superstar. The Rockets currently have one. They brought one in, and it didn't require Amin Thompson. Well, we talked yesterday about Shams and his reporting that Giannis was only interested in joining the Knicks if he was going to get moved this past offseason. Well, this is what ESPN does a great job of. One story from one part of their organization turns into content for different parts, another part of the organization. So Shams has that report. So of course you start asking questions about best fit for Giannis. Where can he go? Who would still be in on it if not for the Knicks? Where here is Malika Andrews talking to Bobby Marks about where the Rockets may fall in that.
If there were to be other teams that get involved, Bobby, who has the assets to be able to do this?
Well, San Antonio still does. Even after acquiring De'Aaron Fox, they still have tradable picks to go out. Remember, they have that Atlanta pick. They have a swap in 2027. They still have tradable contracts when you're looking at players like Devin Vassell. You know the one team that still does? Houston. They went out and got Kevin Durant, but they still have a lot of draft picks to go out and make a deal. Of course, a player like Amin Thompson would be mentioned if they ever became available here. I do think Shams hit it right on the head at that quarter mark. Remember, this is a Milwaukee team that has 11 out of their 15 players that can't be traded until December 15th.
Right.
If they struggle, is there a way for them to improve their roster in the next 2 months? There isn't. So they're basically in a holding pattern right now.
That sound was played this morning, and Lance said he immediately tuned it out when he heard the words Amin Thompson. Called him untouchable. That term gets thrown around a lot, even when it comes to potentially bringing in a superstar, like a universe changer, like Giannis. Everything changes when you bring him in. Like Kevin Durant is a star. They brought him in to fill a role that they did not have, a closer. But he's not going to change everything the Rockets do. Just go by what they had to give up. They gave up plenty. Dylan Brooks and Jalen were starters, and they gave up the number 10 pick and some second rounders because the Suns like, we'd rather have the second rounders than Cam Whitmore. We appreciate the offer, but give us the second rounders because it gives us more versatility to make trades. So they did that.
Ton of bad trades with these.
Yeah, we'll take those second rounders instead of the player. So they did that. So the Rockets, you give up 2 starters and a top 10 pick, you give up a lot, but Giannis means you are handing the organization over to him. Like I'm not talking about like he's LeBron and he's like he wants to make decisions other than bringing his brother, but he's just a guy where he's in, you build around him. The Rockets aren't building around Kevin Durant. Great player, but he's sliding into what they have. You're building around Giannis because you're giving up a lot, and also you're building a team that suits him and makes him his best possible self. So is that something you're willing to do? A lot of people said no. They didn't want to do it because they liked the guys they had. But is Amin Thompson in that type of trade someone at this point that you would just say, nah? Because I understand the mindset. You like your young players. You think Amin can be whatever you think. You always think the best of your projection. What if Amin tops out at a perennial or 5-6-time All-Star, whatever it is, and he's Sean Marion or something. I'm just using a wing who didn't shoot the ball very well, but it was a really good player on some good teams. If he becomes that, if I gave you that as a projection, not superstar, because if you're talking untouchable, you think this man's going to be an MVP candidate one day because Giannis isn't 35, 36. At 30, you're probably looking at 4 to 5 years of him being at the top of his game, and who knows what he is at 35, 36. We see LeBron, we see Curry. They're still big-time guys. So I'll ask you, because other people may have different projections. What do you think Amen Thompson tops out at? What do you think? Forget about he's only 22, but if you had a thought in your mind after the first 3 seasons, is it 3?
Yes.
What do you think going into year 4? What do you think he tops out at, considering his profile?
Just finished year 2.
It's year 2, right?
Yeah.
Year 2.
Yeah.
Jabari just finished year 3, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jalen
4, Jabari 3, Amen 2. Yeah.
Amen was in the same draft as Wembanyama.
Yeah. So. He just finished year 2. So it's you got a little more projection to make.
Yeah. I think he could probably make an all NBA team. Not, I don't know about all NBA like first team. That's like top 5 player in basketball. But if you tell me that like he can have a couple seasons where he's like top 8 player, 8 to 15 range, like I could see that. I could see that where it's just like such a defensive force and also just so hard to stay in front of and can make plays, in the dunker spot and just the athleticism as he matures. Like I could see that kind of thing. So I think having him in like 5 to whatever time All-Star, 5+ time All-Star, and a couple pretty good years where it's just like, oh my God, what do you do with this guy? I think that's pretty reasonable.
See, I'm trying to figure out how to project him, because at this point, the guys, you would be like a guy where he's untouchable. He would always have the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
It's a guy who's a creator for himself and for others. That's just how the NBA has gone.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he wasn't there already, there'd already be where we're trending that way. But the Rockets weren't set up to just hand him the ball and let him go.
Yeah.
When he got here, Ime got here, and when Ime got here, they were about development, but not at the cost of winning basketball
games. It wasn't
games.
the same way that's like
Cade, he didn't get the runway that Cade Cunningham got, or Jalen got in his first couple years.
Yeah, I was going to say like Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., where it's just like, yep, sure, have the ball. There you go.
And go be you and see what we get out of it.
Yeah, we win 20 games. Oh, all right. No big deal. He kind of had to immediately come in and be like a role player, essentially. You know, he had to come in and fit around what Udoka wanted to do with the, I guess, more developed players and the veterans that they added in there. It is kind of like how, I don't know, like a Kawhi had to like fit around the Spurs big 3. It's more of that thing than you come in and just get to do whatever you want for 3 years and just, okay, we'll see what we got after that. And honestly, there's not a lot of evidence that the second way actually is more beneficial to a player than the first way. And a lot of times it seems like it's the opposite of just, hey, giving a guy the ball all the time actually like produces worse results in the long run as far as development goes.
I'm just a little, not to your point, but a little wary of the non-on-ball creators and what you think when you were talking about, well, can never trade that guy as far as, particularly when the prize is Giannis. Now, I am aware that Giannis kind of fits the mold of a guy who they didn't just hand the ball to and wasn't a particular height and all that stuff and development. Like he wasn't the on-ball guy until, he became something you could not ignore.
Yeah.
So is that Amen Thompson's path, where it's like 3 or 4 years of being the elite athlete defender who will get you 15 to 17 on effort and athleticism alone, and at some point the skill catches up with the traits, and then you've got something. If Giannis was 33, I'd be like, no, don't trade him. But look, this is the fantasy fan casting, but because Bobby Marks talked about it, I don't think I would keep Amen off the table if 30-year-old Giannis was available.
Yeah.
And
and there's a little bit of, you give up Amen, you probably can keep a lot more. Like you only have to be the best offer. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be your best offer. It has to be everyone else's offer.
And if Giannis would do you the favor of putting you on a list of 3 teams as opposed to a league-wide transaction, then you have even a better chance.
I pulled up the NBA all NBA teams. Giannis, first team all NBA, pretty good player.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum, Jokic, SGA, Donovan Mitchell, all what we would call primary creators, right?
Yes.
LeBron, obviously. Jalen Brunson, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's the only one that's like, he would kind of be in that more like play finisher type of role, not initiator.
Yes.
And he also, did he win Defensive Player of the Year?
I believe he
did win Defensive Player of the Year.
which is something Amin was in running for. At least we
Yes.
thought he was,
he was
locally.
all NBA.
Yeah.
All defensive.
Yeah, I don't know
first
that Amin finished top 3, but he certainly was someone people thought, particularly in this town, should have been under real consideration.
Daniels and Green were the.
Yeah, I remember.
And then third team, Towns, Jalen Williams from OKC, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden.
And whatever you think of Towns, that's still a 20 and 10 guy.
Yeah.
So whatever you think of him as a player or primary guy. So when we do the conversation about we would never trade him,
Is one out of the 15 guys.
yeah, it's just the jack of all trades, good at a lot. But the game is the game, and if you're not a guy who we can just put the ball in your hands and tell you to go,
Yeah.
it limits the levels that you can reach, and maybe he'll get there.
Yeah.
But that is not something he will probably even get the chance to do much this year. He'll get he'll get opportunities, but they've got KD and Alperen to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be in the like Giannis type of way, where Giannis wasn't that guy until
Until he just
like
had to
year
be.
5. You
Yeah.
know, like it was like, you know what? Actually, we're better off just putting it in his
Yeah.
hand.
It could get there, and it'll be at the time where
Yeah.
the KD contract, whatever the extension is run its course, and I'm sure Amin will get his rookie extension. I'm sure they'll negotiate because that's what the Rockets do. But as KD's coming off the books, maybe Amin at 25, 26 is ready to go
Yeah.
to be that guy.
Yeah.
That's the bet the Rockets would be taking if the Giannis thing even was real and they had to make a decision. I just don't think it's so cut and dry and go, we'll never trade him. Like,
Yeah. I don't think he might be the best player that is tradable, or the best like young interesting asset that like would be available, because it's like you would trade Wembanyama is actually not available. You know, like it's like there's a certain level, like a certain threshold you get to where it's like, okay, actually you don't trade this guy.
like Jokic, just to bring it more to the forefront. Jokic is untouchable. When we talk
Yeah.
about the word untouchable,
Yeah.
we're talking about
SGA.
yes. Until one of those guys asks out, they're untouchable. I don't think Amin fits that profile of a guy the Rockets wouldn't part with if one of the actual untouchables was available.
Yeah, like I'm just trying to think of like the young players that might be untouchable, just because like the same way where it's like the asset, like you're the imagination of what this guy could be. It's like I feel like everyone who would be like higher than him are like actually untouchable.
Yeah, like,
you know, like
Anthony Edwards is young.
Yeah,
But that's the guy who
Evan Mobley. Probably
I
actually
don't-
just wouldn't trade him.
Yeah. But they might, depending on if Giannis said Cleveland. They might do that.
That'd be insane if they did that. I mean, not insane like I wouldn't do it, but just insane, like an insane trade, because those trades like never happen.
Never happened, yeah. Yeah, and Anthony Edwards, 24 years old, won't turn 25 until after this season. Those are the guys we're talking about when we throw the word untouchable around for a young asset or star.
LaMelo, yeah.
He's untouchable because no one else wants to.